Hi guys, Renal here, and today is our first video of how to counter Black Witch Helena. There are many different ways to do that, and honestly, Black Witch Helena is a character that is good in a lot of different team variations. So you can't just think, oh, there's Black Witch Helena, here's how I'm going to counter her. You actually have to counter the team comp that's around Black Witch Helena when you want to fight her. And also she has multiple different builds, so depending on her builds, some counters might work better than some others. So today we're focusing on a strategy that relies on staying far away from Black Witch Helena and killing her before she can attack. She is a unit that boasts immense firing power, so building to survive her is actually pretty difficult. So the whole idea around our build today is if she never gets in range to hit us, we don't care about her firepower. So that's what we'll do. And we're going to leverage Frederica for that. She is very powerful as a gunner. Mine is at 115, so she's not maxed out, but she's still in the EX job. And she's going to be supported by Nivlu and Elshra that are both time mages. So the whole idea is they're going to be casting Quicken on Frederica over and over, so she gets as many turns as she can and just take out the entire enemy team before they get to us. Or at least, that's the theory. This team will be very strong against squishier enemy teams. If it's a Duane that they're using as a tank, he's going to go down quickly. If they're using Garvall, he's going to go down quickly. Yuna, also not an issue generally, because she won't have time to heal if we quicken that quickly. And then Black Witch Helena herself will die before she gets to us, in theory, again. But the biggest issue we're going to run into is tanks. This team is really strong at dealing damage, but especially since my Frederica is not at level 120, we don't have defense penetration on her. All we have is a lot of missile attack. So if we're fighting super high defense enemies, we won't be able to kill them. That is the case for Warrior of Light, who's soon to get his EX job, but right now it's mainly King Mont. If it's an enemy King Mont, we're going to struggle quite a bit, just because it's going to take that much of our focus to take him down, and we'll ignore Black Witch Helena for too long. Now we might catch them in barrages, but I don't want to count just on that, so we're going to avoid tanks. If you're fighting an enemy team with Black Witch and King Mont, tune into the other videos that I'm going to make about that. There are ways to counter this, just not our ranged strategy. So let's quickly take a look at our loadout and abilities on off, and then we'll jump into some fights. So let's look at our team comp here. We have Frederica, Nivlu, Elshra. Fred has as much damage as we could get, so 1000 attack. She's really not built for defenses, like she has a little bit of magic resistance, but even against the Black Witch Helena, she will go down in one hit if she gets targeted. And so we want as much damage as we can, so we're running Bells, Odin, Frederica's Dream, and Titus's Necklace for some crit damage on top. Abilities on off, we have aimed fire off for duels, everything else in there is on. And then in her Ranger sub job, I turned off charge and supercharge, because I don't want to use delayed abilities. Everything else is on. In this map, we can't have as much range as we want, because if we have too much range, we'll actually use attacks early on instead of using bells. So we're using Concentrate Mastery, but instead of Ranger's Lore, which I usually use, it's Missile Mastery. And so that's it for her. Then Nivlu is there as a time mage. She's mainly there to use Quicken shenanigans, but she can also support and finish off low HP enemies. She's got 800 attack, a decent defense penetration, so she can do some damage, but she doesn't have bells, so she's gonna lack AP eventually. In her main job, everything is on. It's a really good main job, but in Time Mage, the only ability that's available for her is Quicken. Everything else is off. We don't want her to use anything else. Just like for Frederica, I've reduced Nivlu's range, because if she has as much range as Fred, she's just going to be attacking with her, and we don't want that. Her Quicken is more valuable, so she has Sniper Mastery and Speed Cast, no range up passives. She's going to hit the enemy only when they get close to our team. And then finally, Elshra, mainly there to Quicken, only 800 or so magic, because she's using a physical vision card. We're trying to get as much damage as we can get out of our gunners, so she's using Titan. But as a time mage, the only ability that she has on is Quicken and not even Meteor. Yeah, so she only has Quicken and Stop on, but AI never uses Stop, so it's basically only Quicken. And then as a Rune Knight, we have Drain Evocation, Banish Blade, Hazard Spell is off, Hazard Slash is on, and Light Break Rune is on, but the AI never uses it. So what we're going to see out of her is Drain Evocation, Hazard Slash, and then Quicken, probably. So that's it, and then our entire team is very squishy. So if they get to us, we're gonna go down in one hit. Alright, fighting an evasion setup, King Mont to be and the Black Witch. We are fairly accurate, so I'm not very scared of that. What I am scared is just King Mont tanking for long enough that the enemy team can actually get to us. But let's see what we can do. Ideally, we want Frederica to use bells on turn 1, so she needs to have a good range, but not too much range, because that would mean that she actually hits them up the stairs, and that's a terrible beginning. So what happens here is we have just enough to use bells. Perfect beginning. Now the enemy team will move more towards the front, and we'll just go back up the stairs to hit them. So it's actually the perfect scenario. So we move back up. Nope, she actually decides to stay there. I wish she had went up the stairs. That would have been better, but it's not the end of the world. So Nivlu gets quickened. For some reason, Elshra does not like quickening Frederica. Not the end of the world, though. So, okay. What is that? Darken Focus. Perfect. More accuracy on the enemy team will not matter against us. King Mont still not in range, but what he can do is go far away from the Black Witch, which is not the best scenario. Still though, dealing a ton of damage and disabling him is good, and then that's going to be another quicken on Frederica, so we have another chance to finish off King Mont before he can actually tank. Although he is pretty tanky, so he can take quite a few hits. During this time, the enemy team has a weird setup where they're all staying behind. I'm not sure if this is the optimal setup for them, because they've now lost their tank, while we still have the opportunity to do quite a bit. We're going to lose Elshra there. She is very squishy, so she's going to go down pretty easily. And then Devastation misses, because that was also an Elshra. At that point, we need an extra turn to kill to be, because if she gets to Frederica, well, we're done. But we do get that extra turn, so another one down. What can the Black Witch do against two of our guys? Let's see. I think that's another Quicken lining up. So we're going to take our first attack, get an extra turn, and then finish off the Black Witch. That's the whole idea of this team. Quicken is a very, very strong ability, especially paired with longer range. So that went well. Now, I see a lot of those mono dark teams running around as well, which I think is pretty interesting. Duane, Garvall, and the Black Witch. I don't know how good that setup is. So far I haven't struggled against it that much. It does have in it hate and a ton of damage, which is good. What I think is its main drawback is the tank, Duane, is just not tanky enough without his EX job to actually take many hits. But let's see how that whole thing goes. So they begin by using their barriers. It's the usual start, Atonement, and Duane is going to run. Oh, Duane was faster than Frederica. That's actually a very bad start for us, because of that, we did not use bells immediately on the first turn. However, since we use a Quicken, I'm pretty sure we can use bells now. Yep, so we kind of catch it up a little bit, but it's a wonky start. It's not the ideal thing. Now we get Quicken, we're probably going to run back up the stairs. Yep. So we are in a safe position. We've taken out their tank because of a double turn, and now it's just a matter of killing the other guys before they move forward. What I like about using single target attacks like Sharpshoot early on is we still have our barrages. So whenever one of them walks far enough that we can hit them with an AoE, that's what we're going to do. For now though, still in Sharpshoot range, so we're just going to keep Sharpshooting them several times. They do use the heal, that is very important for them. But will it matter enough? I don't think so, because now we're going to begin the Quicken barrage action. So, first one, Nivlu casts... Nope, Nivlu's in range to attack, so Dispel Spread. It does take him out, but now we're going to lose Nivlu. As the second the Black Witch gets in range of one of our guys, we're losing that guy. It's an immediate thing. And then our Elshra is not built for damage, so as you can see, she did not do much, but it was still a pretty clean win. Now this time, let me show you what this team comp does not work against, and that's King Mont, Yuna, and Black Witch. The reason being, if they have too much healing, our ranged attacks are just not enough to kill them. If I wanted to go against this setup, I would use a full-on magic resistance build, because all their damage basically comes from magical attacks. So let me demonstrate that. Unfortunately for me, was it this team? Yep. I'm pretty sure we're going to lose, but It's all part of showing off a team comp. There are several ways to counter Black Witch Helena. Right now we are using the staying far away technique, which really works better when she's paired with other damage dealers. If it's a very damage-loaded team that aims at destroying us as early as possible, then the best setup is really just to use range and not let them get to us. But if it's a tanky team that's built around sustain, we should aim to out-sustain their damage more than anything. So first quicken, we actually have bells on, which is good, but they have re-raise on King Mont, so one more time we have to kill him. That's already pretty scary. Freddy's gonna get an extra turn, which means she will go back up the stairs, which is what we want her to do. So, no, she did. Oh, she chose to barrage forward. As much as that's an interesting choice, it actually cost us the game right there, because now she's gonna be berserked. I wish she had not done that, although I understand why the AI would prioritize that. So now the enemy team gets healed, and we basically lose the fight, because without her attacks that are not basic attacks, we can't do anything with Frederica. She will not help us at all. So the enemy team is back full HP, we lose Nivlu immediately, then King Mont is going to finish off Frederica, and that's it. So did this team go well? No, definitely not. See, the enemy team is back to full HP and we did not kill anybody. So don't try this against the Yuna, it is not what this team comp is built for. Alright, so Black Witch, Garvall, Yuna, they have both Yuna and a defense bracer on the Black Witch, so I'm kind of curious if we'll be able to kill her through all that missile resistance. Let's see. I think so. Even with a 30%, which is what she has, missile resistance, it will probably take us 2 to 3 hits to kill her. So I'm not that scared, actually. But I might be surprised, and also they're probably going to have the re-raise on top of that, so maybe she'll just be an invincible monster, maybe not. First hit, oh yeah, she is going to be an invincible monster, never mind. The first hit barely does any damage, then we get quickened, use bells, but they get re-raise in exchange, so we know we're going to have to kill her a couple times. And we might get into her range a little bit too early. So revitalized, that's good, going down the stairs, then we're getting quickened. But I think Frederica's gonna move forward and use barrage now since there's many people in range. So that's actually pretty terrible. Nope, vital. So we break her barriers, finish her off in 2 hits. Perfect. But she comes back to life. And then Yuna's probably going to heal her back. So what happens? Well, Nivlu begins Black Witch begins casting, so Nivlu has time to finish her off. That is the perfect scenario. Now the enemy team is wasting heals, and we've taken out the strongest carry on their team. We still have to be wary of Yuna and Garvall though. They have crazy top tier damage, so it's still a pretty scary thing. Butterfly Sting, very interesting. I rarely see Frederica use her Limit Burst, but it's enough to one-shot Yuna, so I guess that was worth using. And then Quicken is cast again, so Frederica's going to take another turn and probably Barrier Break Garvall again. There we go, so Barrier Break, and not a one-shot, but quite a bit of damage. Now he's going to kill Frederica, because that's what Garvall does, he one-shots people. But he's alone against 2 people, so we still end up winning this. That was a really good fight. So that strategy worked just about as well as I expected. In the matchups where there are enemy tanks, it doesn't work at all, and if it's a squishy enemy team, it usually works. There are some scenarios where Frederica will just charge into the enemy team to get a better barrage off and then die, so there is some amount of randomness, but in general, it is pretty reliable. What I like about this team comp is it's not that hard to build for players because there are a ton of time mages in the game and you don't have to be using the ones that I've used. I don't think Elshra is the best time mage by any means, but she did the job well in this setup. So it's something that's quite accessible to a lot of players, especially since Frederica had shards handed out for friend points for such a long time. I know a lot of players have her at least at level 99. So that was it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And then as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.